Okay, we're going to try this again. We're having a little bit of lag issues, so welcome to the 21st Century Man podcast, episode 22, the Facebook Live version. Move this out of my way so you can see my pretty face. I am Christian. As you know, you're watching this on my page. Host of the 21st Century Man podcast, founder of Second Life Coaching. If you haven't liked the page yet, go to Second Life Coaching on Facebook and like it. I would love you forever. Download the 21st Century Man podcast on iTunes or wherever you love to get your podcasts. Been a little bit under the weather recently, so I've got my lemon, ginger, and I can never remember the name of this honey, but thank you, Adam and Shelley, for recommending this. Hopefully it gets me back on my feet and gets this throat going a little less scratchy. So let's get right into it. Manuka, thank you. Manuka honey. So let's get right into it. And tonight's show is all about excuses. Excuses are the things that you use to decorate the walls of a life that is kind of meh. Right? We all have excuses. We all make excuses. You know, it's like State Farm. You know, I know them because I've made them myself. Made a lot of them, whether it's not taking risks, whether it's not going after the job I want, whether it's, you know, kind of settling for less than, you know, I think, you know, I deserve. But, you know, I've made excuses for things all my life. But when you make excuses, you end up with kind of a life that's a little bit less than average. You end up with a little bit of depression. You end up with a little bit of, you know, I don't know, resentment, a little bit of regret. And God knows there's anything that's in this life that is more expensive than regret. Nobody ever goes to the deathbed going, I wish I spent more time doing the things I really, really hate for a living. But tonight I want to kind of talk a little bit to you guys out there. I was listening to a podcast from Gary Vee the other day, and he's talking about how today things move faster than they have ever moved in history. Our entire society has become mobile. It's all here on this thing, you know, on our phones. We can do now anything, you know, from the comfort of our bed in our pajamas if we really want. And I was thinking and talking to a lot of people, and I speak to a lot of guys who, you know, and you see it all the time, they just dislike their jobs. They really don't like what they're doing. They're kind of miserable. They're kind of going through life, and they make excuses for why they stay. You know I've made them. Things like, you know, I'm too old. I make too much money. Nobody will ever hire me for what I want. I don't have, you know, all the fancy new skills and qualifications, and whatever comes to mind as an excuse. And I gotta call you out on that, because there really is no reason anymore. Think about it. Even 20 years ago, if you wanted to find a job in a new city, in a new state, someplace new, 25 years ago, what did you have to do? You had to go someplace where they sold newspapers from cities where you thought you might want to live, and hopefully you can get there and find a Sunday edition and scan the classifieds and maybe find something you want, and then, you know, type up the resume, send it off in a letter, and hopefully you hear something back, because odds are there wasn't a phone number attached to the ad or anything like that. And it really was a pain in the ass to kind of become mobile and do more stuff. It was a pain in the ass to move. It was a pain in the ass to find someplace new. But nowadays, with the internet, you got ZipRecruiter and Career Builder, which is where I found the job I'm working now. Career Builder was great. You can go anywhere and do anything, and you don't even have to leave your living room to try to find it. So really, there is no excuse to stay stuck in a job that you hate, that's just draining your soul, that's killing you, that's sucking the life out of your very being. I mean, come on. Is there anything worse than waking up every morning and having to, you know, repeat to yourself, even though you don't believe it, you know, I love my job, and then you shuffle off thinking to yourself, God, only X number of hours and I get to go home again. I'd been there. A lot of guys have been there. You've been there probably too. And it sucks. It sucks some serious ass. And it drains you mentally, emotionally, physically. And what good is it? What good is it to stay stuck in a place that you don't want to go? So what are these excuses that are keeping you from going and doing what you want? Gary also talked a little bit about side hustles, which made me giggle because, our parents' generation, I'm going to be 45 here in a couple weeks, and my parents and my grandparents, they really didn't have something. They didn't, to have a side hustle or start their own business or do anything required such a massive, investment, much more massive than currently. I mean, now you can hop online, you can start it basically from your phone and do something on the side and build it up that way. But before, it was like you actually had to go get a second job. You had to go out and actually go physically do something. So not only were you working in a job you hated, but you had to go, spend more time out of the house doing more stuff, away from your families, away from the things you really wanted to do. And, those days are long gone. Now with this thing, I mean, seriously, you can do just about anything. So there's really no excuse. And there's no excuse to stay stuck in a job you don't like. And I'll be perfectly honest, this was not the easiest week for me. And, I was really damn close one day to just, throwing up the old double finger salute and walking out the door, and everybody has rough days, and it doesn't make any sense to stay there. Where else do we use? Oh, excuses. This tea is really killer, and it's really helping my throat. We use excuses to stay stuck in, relationships that we shouldn't be in. We use excuses to stay, to not go for those things that we really want. We use excuses to stay stuck in the lives that we have because it's comfortable. And comfortable is comfortable, but comfortable really kind of is a killer. Comfortable will kill you faster than anything else. Comfortable will drain your soul. Comfortable will drain your energy and just suck the will to live out of you. So in life, cut the damn excuses and just go out and do something. Seriously. I mean, if you really hate where you are, if you really, want to get out of where you are and you want to go do something great, then by God, go do something great. Start, go to a meetup, go to a networking event, go someplace, start a blog, start a podcast, hop on Facebook and do a Facebook Live because your YouTube streaming thing, shit the bed this evening. But quit using excuses to stay stuck where you are. And I'm going to finish on a little bit of a rant tonight. Back roughly a year ago was the infamous Hollywood Access tapes. And I went on something and went on a little bit of a rant about how that wasn't what a man does, and that wasn't locker room talk. And perhaps if you think it's locker room talk, then really you need to look at yourself. Well, as we all know, the recent story has been in the news about Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too hashtag activism, which, by the way, I love that. I think it's been great. But guys, don't hijack it. It's not your time. But we all know a Weinstein in our life. We all know somebody who cracks those jokes. We all know somebody who is a bit inappropriate, and perhaps you've been a bit inappropriate at times. And so the thing is you got to reevaluate everything. No more excuses about cracking bad jokes. No more excuses about, sexually forward comments that are really inappropriate for work or wherever, whether it's in person or online. And there's really just no excuses to be kind of a dick. And I'm really sick and tired of hearing guys say, well, that's just how guys are. Boys will be boys. No. It's men don't do that. Men don't act that way. Men don't behave that way. Men don't talk that way. And perhaps I'm a relic of a bygone era that, I should have lived in God knows how many years ago. But I'm really tired of all the excuses that us men are using for each other, and the way they talk about women and the way they treat them, and the way they excuse the way other guys are just kind of perverse assholes. I'm done with it. If that's you, if you have friends like that and you continue to kind of excuse their behavior, you excuse their jokes, their inappropriateness, their whatever, then you're honestly just as bad as them, because you are enabling them. You're kind of encouraging them, because in those cases, silence really is complicity. And it's time for you to, if those are your friends, then perhaps you need to find a better set of friends. And I saw a cartoon in my memories that I was going to, thank you. I was going to share it the other day because it made me laugh. It was from a year ago with the whole Hollywood Access thing, and it was a cartoon. The guy said, well, I've heard guys say even worse things. And the woman in the cartoon says, well, maybe those guys ought to shut the fuck up too. And they really ought to. And like I said, maybe it's because I'm a relic of a bygone era and I don't quite understand why, that's normal, why that's accepted behavior nowadays. Oh, by the way, thanks for the recommendation on the Manuka honey. That's yummy stuff. But I'm really kind of done with it. As men, we need to get out and we need to lead, and we need to lead with class, with integrity, with respect. It's kind of like the Rat Pack without the womanizing, and maybe an occasional scotch. But it's today, guys just seem to be lost. And I don't know what it is. It's perhaps some of the toxic masculinity. It's perhaps the anonymity of being online all the time. But it's time for those of us who are tired of this kind of ridiculous, nonsensical BS to step up and lead. And so that's my ending rant for this evening. Quit making excuses for the assholes in your life. Give them a swift kick in the pants, because you know what? If you're not going to hold them accountable, nobody is. So I think that's going to be it for the evening. As I said, we're doing this Facebook Live because the YouTube live stream thing decided not to work this evening. But when things happen, when life happens, you just kind of roll with the punches. Ain't that right? So for those of you that haven't liked the page at Second Life Coaching, please do. I'd appreciate it. I love you guys. I love that you listen to me. I love that you share the stuff. I certainly hope you're getting some value out of it. If there's anything you want to discuss, if you want to be a guest on the show sometime, let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email. Find me on Messenger, all that great stuff. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have a chat. I'm going to get my buddy Todd, who was on the broadcast a little bit earlier, on the show, and I'd like to get Steve on the show as well too, and we can talk a little bit about what they're doing in making an impact on the world. If you happen to swing by the web, check out secondlifecoaching.com and the 21st Century Man podcast on iTunes or wherever you love to listen to podcasts. So hopefully we'll figure this live stream, this YouTube thing set up next time for the show. I think this is a pretty cool format. I like doing this live. I don't know. It's out of my comfort zone. So, and as we all know, comfort zones are for suckers. So until next time, folks, peace out. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.